All right, good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to the STEM Files, where we serve as the voice of STEM talent and Black culture, highlighting the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Tonight's episode, I'm going to be all by myself. Unfortunately, my right hand, Brother Jabril, cannot be here with us tonight, but he's definitely here with us in spirit. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about a very polarizing topic, and that is COVID, hospitalizations, vaccine versus no vaccine. We're going to be busting up a lot of the messiness out there when it comes to our media saying that our survival from COVID-19 is higher when we're vaccinated. Now, we have experts, we have an expert that's going to be joining us tonight to talk about this, Sister Tamara Muhammad. She is an ICU nurse, now a nurse midwife. She's going to be talking to us about her experience in the intensive care unit dealing with COVID-19 and what she has seen when it came to vaccinated and unvaccinated patients. So stay tuned for more after this, family.
Believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teach men, we teach them heavy.
All right. Once again, my name is Brother Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I am a biomedical research scientist with a concentration in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. I'm typically joined by my right hand, Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabril Engineer. He's a civilian mechanical engineer with the United States Navy, working on naval ship fluid systems. Which is pretty much, and I'm not going to butcher this. I'm just going to give you as much as I can about my brother. He works with the United States Navy to make sure that those big, powerful ships that you see out at sea work the way they are supposed to work. So, family, like I said in the beginning, this is the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and the brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the Black and Brown community. Tonight's guest is Sister Tamara Muhammad. She's a nurse practitioner, nurse midwife, ICU nurse, all the nurses. Our sister, this is called the super nurse. And we're also going to be focusing on COVID-19 in the hospital, vaccine versus no vaccine. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. So before we went live, our guest, Sister Tamara, she sent me a audio clip of her on our beloved student minister, Dr. Abel Muhammad's podcast from this was probably last year, right?
No, this is this year. This is just a few months ago.
A few months ago. So she sent me a clip, and I wanted to use that clip to introduce. I thought it was only right that we not only still continue to pay tribute to our beloved student minister who has made her transition 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago now. So I wanted to just use that as another way to pay tribute to our beloved sister. Check it out.
Okay, we have now on our live line, our guest line, Sister Tamara Muhammad, who is a fourth generation registered Muslim in the Nation of Islam. And this beautiful sister is quite accomplished. She holds her Bachelor of Science in Nursing and is an RN. And she currently works at a COVID intensive care unit. And we have a Brother Hoyle is somewhere on the line. Memphis just shows out on this program.
Come on. That's right.
But I just realized the Memphis connection. And I think it was through Sister Donna Muhammad that I learned of the great work that Sister Tamara is doing. And, of course, we discussed this interview in this article yesterday in the Executive Council meeting. And I am really urging, I'm about to go on a full-fledged promo on my social media platforms for this article. And the Minister Farrakhan has read through it very carefully. That's why it's in the paper, of course. For those of you who may not realize, he is the publisher of the Final Call newspaper.
Wow. May Allah forever be pleased with our beloved, hardworking student minister, Dr. Abel Muhammad. Family, once again, that was a clip from her Ask Dr. Abel podcast on Blog Talk Radio. I myself have had the honor to be on there, and it is no lightweight task. It is definitely something that us as believers, we treasure the opportunity to work with our leaders in any capacity. Tamara, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry, beloved. But that was such an opportunity. But Tamara, on that interview, what was it like for you to be able to share your work and your experience with such an amazing student of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan?
Yes, sir. Let me first say, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
And thank you. It's an honor and privilege to be on your show, your program.
Yes.
And I always like to offer this salutation because this is who we are. This is our culture. And in this hour, we want to be correct in telling God's people in an hour so much confusion. So in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. So, yeah, I didn't know I was going to just hearing her voice. Yes, great loss. But we still have her.
Right.
Still teaching, right?
You're strong.
Yes. In that moment, honestly, it was, I'm so thankful to Allah. And I think that has helped me with this process of, with our sister, thank God, Allah, that we've had an example on how to grieve, the proper way to grieve through Honorable Minister Farrakhan. So, right, my grieving has not turned to sorrow because I have no regrets. With my encounter, I was able to tell my sister how much I value her, how much I love her, how much I appreciate her, and how important she has been to my life, my walk, in my little life, Muslim as a life. So, but it was awesome. And she was so intrigued on what was going on for sure in the hospitals for sure. And it was an honor and privilege to even hear her say that the article made it to the executive council, and that they, and that they went over it and that and the minister read it. Honorable Minister Farrakhan read the article and approved it and said it goes to the final call, So it's, what an honor. And that's what she was pretty much saying. And what an honor that to even be printed in, the absolutely truth, paper in the world, so what an honor and a privilege. So, yes. And I would say that Sister Charlene is the one who did the interview. The interview was literally before I went on the program and even got printed in the article. Sister Charlene and I had, in the final call, Sister Charlene and I had talked for hours and at least 6 months prior to it even going to print and prior to that even happening. So wow. I've known a lot of this information, like I've told Sister Ava and Sister Ava and most people ask, well, how come you didn't say anything? And I was trying to say things, but what we know is that even the truth told out of time is worse than a lie. Yeah. So most of the stuff that I have to say today that I knew some time ago and that we had known in the hospital have been proven already. The vaccine don't work. It's just that simple. And I can literally stand here and say that most of my colleagues, most of us that work in the healthcare profession, we're not even vaccinated. We didn't support the vaccine, as a profession, because we survived COVID. And they didn't give us any proper PPEs to survive COVID as well. They wasn't looking out for us, but it's, we were a hero, right? During 2020, we was a hero.
Right,
and
right.
then we became the zero, the following year, once the vaccine came out,
Yeah.
we was the zero, right? Because we didn't support the vaccine. We had too many questions about it, because that was the real science. Like, well, how long did it take you to make this thing, and why? Especially why, when we knew that most of the people that was affected by COVID, they were already ill. They were already susceptible. They had underlying illnesses, and us working with COVID, we wasn't suspected to be with COVID like most of the public. We were with COVID, and we wasn't dying, and we wasn't getting sick. Right. And it was a culture developing among us, of becoming well, exercising, eating proper. I give you one example. We had a young lady, I was in charge, the charge nurse, and they said she's going through a divorce. And they said she can't be on this floor because she's going through a divorce. So here she is, physically healthy, but emotionally and spiritually not healthy. So she couldn't come on the battlefield to make sure that she would be not as susceptible to COVID. So we took it just that serious, just that serious. So, and that's what the public really, really needs to know. And like I said in the article and on the program, Elevated Places, I was sick once, and I was in 2019, not 2020. So all the way through the heighten of the pandemic and all the way up to now, praise be to Allah, I have not been sick. And we was with COVID, not suspected to be with COVID. And no, we did not test. That was the other thing too. So you see so many people, we have so much anxiety and concern in regards to testing. Oh, everybody should get tested. That was not the test did not guide treatment. It was not valid. We saw right away that it had too many false positives, too many false negatives. It's just inaccurate all the way around. Because someone would come in and, like I said before, we need a hip replacement with no signs and symptoms. They will, like you and I right now, outside me, the tears and everything. Nothing was going on, right?
Right.
They'll test. So it was a screening practice put in place. So everybody that came into the hospital was screened, except your healthcare providers. We wasn't tested at all. So they were screened, and people had no signs and symptoms often tested positive for COVID. So do we treat them? Do we vent them? No. So we literally chopped up. They didn't have COVID. It's just that simple. So it did not guide therapy, and it was not an accurate standard to tell you what your status was. Your status was your signs and symptoms. Okay. And then those who would come in and they had all kinds of symptoms. I mean, in ICU, you know what that term is. We call it circling the drain. Okay. They really sick, go down any moment. Right. They have all kinds of signs and symptoms and repeatedly test negative for COVID. So do we say, oh, you don't have COVID, go home? No, they got treated for COVID because they had all the signs and symptoms of COVID, and they were very, very ill. And so the other thing too about the whole testing with your providers not being tested, the rationale was that our viral load was probably too high. We came in contact too often, and therefore all of us would test positive. That was the rationale that was given to us, which you as scientists, if we would test positive, but we're not sick and we're walking around, right? Which means we built the immunity to it then.
That's right.
So right away, it was like, oh, then we immune to COVID, So, and then those who, like I said, I was sick in 2019. I had never had the flu my whole life. I can't remember to tell you when I had the common cold, probably 20 something plus years ago. So I'm talking to a person who don't get sick, right? And in 2019, I couldn't walk 5 feet without being short of breath. I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't feed myself. I was sick. My mom, I went home from traveling as a travel nurse. My mom had to take care of me. We had no idea what was wrong with me. So I have an underlying illness. When I was pregnant with my younger one, he blew out my pacer. You know exactly what that means. We have our heart pace at a regular rhythm between 60 and 100, and that's what it's supposed to do. My heart rate, I have what you call bradycardia, but it's not symptomatic. A lot of athletes have bradycardia,
Yeah.
and you're not symptomatic. But in my case, when my body is under stress, such as pregnancy, it'll knock out my pacer completely, and I'll become symptomatic with my bradycardia. Well, that's exactly what happened in 2019. I went to go see a cardiologist. That's why I couldn't breathe. That's why I couldn't walk 5 feet. And even in that moment when I was experiencing that, I was telling some of the believers at the mosque, something's wrong.
Right.
Something's wrong in the healthcare world. Something's really strange happening because all of our patients are really sick and they're coming in with such things as obesity and we're venting them. We can't secure their airway. I was telling people this, and here I am suffering as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the cardiologist. I failed my stress test. And he said, I'm going to put a pacer in you. I said, no, you're not.
Right.
I said, whatever I got going on, it seems viral.
Doctor, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. Right? He said, oh, well, you won't make it past 3 months. Your heart is in the 30s, in the 40s. And you know what that looks like and what that means, right?
Yeah.
I said, well, I think I've been here before when I was pregnant with my son. And as soon as I had the baby, my pacer kicked back in, right? And she told me to continue to watch that as time go. And so now my body is under the stress. So I truly believe in 2019, in December 2019, I had COVID. I was under tremendous stress. It attacked my underlying symptom. And that's exactly what we saw in the hospital. So it's like literally we had people walking around saying, I'm not going to get COVID because I have no underlying illnesses. Literally. Like, I'm not going to be affected by COVID. I'm not going to get COVID. And I have news for everybody. We have a term for that. It's called COVID virgins. We have people literally walk around the hospital who've never gotten COVID, never sick the whole time. So this big thing about people, is this a matter of time you're going to get it? I'm waiting to see that. I'm waiting to see that because literally the healthier you are, the healthier you maintain. And we're not just talking about physical, it's spiritual as well. It's emotional as well, because the big part of treatment in the hospital for COVID was encouragement and affirmations to our patients, encouraging them. Their fatigue was so heavy on them to where they come in, they were able to walk. Like I had explained my symptoms. They were able to make it to the bathroom. After some time, they're unable to make it to the bathroom. So we have to tell them to keep going. And the more you get up, the more you keep going, the better they got. And was able to keep the mind right, because losing your breath and not able to catch your breath is one experience with that leads you into huge anxiety, panic, and you got to get a hold of that. So that's part of it. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, because but yeah, you got to pay attention to being stagnant while you're sick. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day about, when you're experiencing a great amount of fatigue, the best thing to do is to do the opposite of what you feel, and that's to get up. You may feel like I don't want to do nothing today. Like Bruno Mars' Lazy Song, I'm not doing nothing, and by the time you get, to sit up in the bed, you're already tired. But that's good. Keep going. Even if it's just for 1 minute, stand up, walk around, do something. Don't let that fluid build up in your lungs to the point where, you would need a ventilator. So do as much as you can to get moving. When I had COVID, and this is before it was COVID-19, we had just got back from Savior's Day 2020, the last Savior's Day before the pandemic. I had a sore throat. I was I thought it was just a regular head cold. Like, okay, I always get sick in the wintertime. That's nothing. So it wasn't until I got on the plane when I realized something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been to the dentist and they stick that Novocaine needle in you to kind of numb the area before they do something?
Mm-hmm.
So as the plane was ascending, going up, it felt like somebody was taking a needle and stabbing the inside of my jaw, and all the pain just ran up the side of my face. I have never experienced that with any type of colds. I was like, you know what, something ain't right. 2 weeks later, lockdown or what have you. And then I realized I had COVID-19 because the cough I had was extremely crazy. Like, I think I was coughing every day. I couldn't even talk on the phone. Like, no one could call me. I wasn't taking calls. Asked my wife. She was in Atlanta at the time, and I would be like, she would be talking to me, but I wouldn't be talking back. That's how bad it was. I just wasn't able to respond. So that was a lot. That was a lot, and being able to look at the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as a solution to not only prevent COVID, prevent the worst of the symptoms of COVID, but also prevent the contraction of COVID in itself. There's a lot to unpack there, but I'm gonna stop rambling. We got some comments in the comment section from co-host Jabril. There's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. Go ahead and teach, Queen.
Thank you, beloved.
I think the key in not getting COVID is being great, humble in your great blessing. Not getting does not make you better or healthier necessarily than else. It's very key.
Mm-hmm.
Very key.
So I know that when my pacer was thrown out and they wanted to put a pacemaker in me, and you know what that means.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I literally told my cardiologist at that time, I said, no, I'm going to go on a fast, and I'll see you in a month, and I'll pass your stress test.
Go ahead.
And that was my answer. And that's exactly what happened. So self-awareness among us as a whole, as a people, we're going to have to learn ourselves, learn our body. You are the best advocate for yourself. Okay. What we also saw that I think that we miss in the general public and what we're not being told is that COVID not only exacerbated your underlying symptoms, it also exposed things to you that you was unaware that you had. So it brought forward what I had forgotten all about, which was my underlying illness, which is bradycardia, because it's not symptomatic like it's not now.
Right.
And so I literally, and I saw, and I tell people all the time in ICU, not too many people look like me in ICU. Okay. And those who work in the healthcare world knows what that means.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, and those ladies are healthy. Those men are healthy. Okay. They believe in it. They believe in their OMED diet, which is 1 meal a day, which is our teachings. Okay. They believe in it. They live by it. So I hope and pray that those who do not know, learn what is meant for you. And those that do know, get to it so that we can teach everybody else, because that literally there's so many other people who do not have supreme wisdom or have the knowledge you have, or someone who has stole it from us, have turned it and renamed it, such as intermittent diet, a 1 meal a day, and they are successful.
Yep.
In which we should be successful. Is no way that we should have ever suffered from COVID. And I bear witness to that. I am a witness bearer of that. There's no reason for it whatsoever. He did not leave us.
Yes,
he did not abandon us. He gave us the answer. And that is my testimony.
Absolutely.
Mine. And I watched it every step of the way.
Hey.
And I'm still watching it. Because like right now in the hospital, I delivered a baby this morning at 6 o'clock this morning. Woo. But right now, praise the Lord. But even they don't even wear masks barely in the hospital anymore. Okay, so I want everybody to think about that. Barely. These people are so, and I want you, be confident, reassured, in your Lord who is in charge today. These folks don't have that confidence, but they're confident and assured victory within themselves. They are. You got to give it to them. I work with young white males and white females who says, I'm going in there. Who coming?
All right, what's up?
And they fine. Okay. Right. So I want us to think about that, while we're running around and panicking. And I'm happy to say, like I said before in the article, and I said to our dear sister, Dr. Abel, I'm not knocking nothing. I think we need it all. But I want you to know that your how to eat to live is sufficient all by itself. And I bear witness to that. It's sufficient all by itself. Since Tamara hasn't taken anything, I don't even take supplements. For what? I eat my bean soup. I don't. My bean soup has quercetin in it. It has onions and garlic. You're the bean soup scientist, right?
Hold on. wait. Don't say bean soup scientist. Say Navy bean scientist.
Navy bean soup. That's right, scientists.
But absolutely, that it has everything you need. It is
everything.
Eat wholesome meal.
That's right.
Complete. You know,
That's right.
and when you talked about how to live to fight out all of our ills, it brings me back to what the minister said during Dr. Ava's janazah about when she found out she had cancer. Her solution or her response to the doctors was that how to eat to live and my teachings is, I'm paraphrasing, is going to get me through this.
That's right.
You know, not my oncologist, and there's no disrespect.
Right.
Not my oncologist, not any of this Western medicine ways. It's how to live.
That's right.
And it did. It helped her survive that. She overcame cancer with how to live.
That's right.
You know, because she believed deeply enough, which was
right.
the whole point of that janazah, was her dedication to her belief.
That's right.
She believed deeply enough that this can be beaten with these teachings.
That's right. And it did. And
Absolutely.
It happened.
That's
okay.
Right.
And yes, it did. And so, yes, family, and know that fear weakens your immune system. You
That's
know,
right.
So that alone is hurting us.
So much.
We have to believe in what's been given to us. And that is definitely the solution. We have not been abandoned. We are going to be victorious. And that is my testimony. And that's why all praise be to Allah. I can walk. And that's as believers, yes, walk boldly in your faith. You know, I walk boldly in knowing that. And besides, in this hour, I even say to myself, if something should happen, Sister Tamara, I'll be a martyr. Alhamdulillah. So that's what I'm going to be reaching for all day long is my bean soup. Anybody know me too, brother? Oh, did you go somewhere?
I'm still here.
Okay. Anyone that know me, you know, like if my children was on this show right now, they'll tell you, my mother, if she say you stumped your toe, eat some bean soup. You slam your fingers, eat some bean soup. You got a headache, you eat your bean soup. You know, that's me. You know, because I get that from my mother. Yes. You know, all day, every day, eat your bean soup. You know, and in the height of the pandemic, I was talking to the believers back at Mosque 55, even with the children at Muhammad University to decrease some of the anxiety. Those were my words. Eat your bean soup. Yes, eat your Navy bean soup.
Right. And for those who are watching,
make it properly.
Yes.
Put all the onion and garlic, you know, put that celery in there, put those peppers in there. Use those spices, you know.
How it's supposed to be made. Absolutely.
That's right. Yes.
For those of you who are watching who are not members of the Nation of Islam, this goes for you too. The bean soup is not strict to the Nation of Islam. You know, if you want to have a better diet or a better form of nutrition, because how to live is not a diet, it's a life force.
That's right.
So if you want to live better, eat better, think better, do better, you know, there's nothing wrong with studying how to live and doing everything that's in that book. And then inshallah, it'll bring you closer to us, you know? So, but yeah, family, but we at the 30-minute mark of the show already almost. And I want to take this time to go ahead and promote this week's edition of the Final Call newspaper, family. We're going to take a short break. Then after this final call break, we're going to get right back into it. We're going to be talking about types of nurses. We're going to talk more about what Sister Tamara does professionally as a nurse practitioner, nurse midwife, the whole nine. And then also get more into this vaccine situation, all right? So family, after this, we'll be right back.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
All right, now, family, usually Jabril handles this part about this week's edition of the Final Call newspaper. So, bro, if you're watching me and I mess up, just go ahead and let me know in the comment section. So this week's edition of the Final Call is More Than a Vision, The wheel is real, family. For decades, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the Nation of Islam have taught on the reality of so-called UFOs, their aim, purpose, and significance, and how these advanced crafts relate to Allah God's divine promise to his servants and Black people. Family, back in October, to commemorate the 23rd, I believe, 26th anniversary of the Main Man March, we invited Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad on the show to do a part. It was kind of a two-part series that we did on the science of the wheel, and we broke down the many layers that the mother wheel is, and that the technology behind the wheel is. And we wanted to just share with the community the majesty and the power of this technological giant, So for those who want to check that episode out, just go ahead and look up the STEM files with Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad, the science of the wheel. Also, if you are in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, get your latest copy of the Final Call from Brother Jabril. If you are in the Richmond, Virginia area, get your copy from me. And Sister Tamara, what city are you in? Sister Tamara, can you hear me?
Yes, brother. I apologize. I'm at Mos 55, Memphis, Tennessee, with Brother Ilya Rashad. Beautiful brother. Congratulations, Brother Ilya Rashad. I want to let the public know that his wife actually writes all those articles. So let me congratulate Sister Angela.
What's that?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh,
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I had to throw a joke in there because if you know Brother Ilya Rashad, he's going to joke as well.
To a lot, yes, man. Okay, so if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, and you want more about the Final Call newspaper, definitely reach out to one of the soldiers in Memphis, in Muhammad's Mosque number 55. But family, now I don't know. Let me see if Jabril said something about my intro. Okay, he didn't say nothing yet, but hopefully I got it right and I didn't butcher this segment. All right, family. So now that we also too, family, the STEM files had the honor of being featured in the Final Call newspaper in the recent edition that we just went over. On page 31, it talks about Black people in technology. And I wanted to just go ahead and read the contribution that we had made, the STEM files and the Ministry of Science and Technology have made to the Final Call newspaper. Tariq Muhammad and Jabril Muhammad have been working to shine a light on Black people in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. Tariq is a biomedical research scientist and Jabril is a civilian mechanical engineer. Together, they host a show called the STEM Files. They also work together at Original Man Scientific, a community-based research and development company founded by Tariq Muhammad and are part of the Nation of Islam's Ministry of Science and Technology on the national level. This is a quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We need a Ministry of Science and Technology. All our people, our babies are right on the computer. They've got that thing down to at 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old. We've got to come up to the science and technology of our time. And this is from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the 12th anniversary of the historic Million Man March. Family, anybody that knows me knows I serve in both the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Science and Technology. And we've been doing a great work on a national scale to structure and organize the Ministry of Science and Technology to the point where we have now a plethora, or every single type of scientist that you can think of in the Ministry of Science and Technology currently serving our people. So family, that's on page 31. I'm very proud of that. Matter of fact, when I first read it, I'm gonna tell you how I even knew it was in this particular article, because I didn't know which article it was gonna be in. I was talking to Lieutenant Brother Muhammad outside of, just outside, we just talking about brotherhood and stuff like that. And he was passing me my papers. And as the wind was blowing by, it opened up the Final Call page to page 31. And there we were. So Allah was like, stop talking, look, you're in the Final Call. So praise be to Allah. I thoroughly enjoyed the article. Shout out to Sister Anissa, who is the the contributor for that particular article on science, Black people in science and technology. All right, so that's it for me. I'm done rambling. Sister Tamara Muhammad, once again, thank you for joining us. We want to talk about you and your career. Like, we want to break down some terms. We want to make sure that the audience understands exactly what you do. So you currently work as a nurse midwife, but you are a nurse practitioner, a registered nurse. You have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. You're just like I said, a super nurse.
So with nursing, I didn't start off you can start off at a level that's like, say LPNs, licensed practical nurse. That wasn't my route. And then you can go to a registered nurse. That wasn't my route. I started right off as a BSN RN. Nurses have a lot of autonomy today. The nursing practice is full of new endeavors, and it's so wide and vast for you to do so much in nursing. So a women's health nurse practitioner is just someone who doesn't deliver babies from a midwife. Okay, the midwife does everything that a women's health nurse practitioner does. And anytime you see those credentials, women's health nurse practitioner or certified nurse midwife, those are women who have attained a master's or a doctorate. And that's what I'm currently working on now, is my doctorate through a bridge program for a DNP. So inshallah, around this time next year, my name will be Dr. T. Muhammad. And that's the goal. So that's the difference. So I initially earned a RN BSN, and then I moved on to the master's, and now I'm in a DNP program. So that's how that works. And certified nurse midwives, why I decided I wanted to do that, why did I want to move from ICU or out of the hospital? I've been working on it for quite some time. I wanted more autonomy, and I wanted to know how could I serve my community a lot better. And that is trying to combat the infant and woman mortality rate in our community, and seeing, we need a whole new healthcare system. That's just what it is, And when you brought up and you mentioned and told even the general public, everyone, get the how to eat to live. We need to know that just like how Chinese people have a Chinese diet, Indian people have an Indian diet. We have a diet that's been prescribed to us. The current diet that we're on is leading us down the road that funds this industry of pharmaceuticals and their healthcare system. It's just that simple. There is no reason why we should have to suffer with hypertension or diabetes, as is written in the How to Eat to Live. All of it is how we eat. It's not hereditary at all. Your cholesterol problem is not hereditary. Your high blood pressure is not hereditary. You wasn't born with it. All that means is that your mom and dad has passed down a lifestyle to you, which you live the same lifestyle as mom and dad. Therefore, you have mom and dad diseases or illnesses. So this is a diet that's been given to us, back to us, for us to follow. And it is a prescription for all of our ills, as is written. So absolutely, finally can have something of our own. And here you're able to witness someone, praise be to Allah, who put it into practice and survived COVID without reaching for any of that. Because the one thing that we do know, even supplements, family, are soy-based, 98% of them. That's a fact, okay? We know soy is a hormone mimicker in the body. Right. So, we wonder why we as women have beards, right? And why men are growing breasts, okay? It's because we eat a lot of soy in our diet, because it's in everything. Well, soy, your supplement. So if you're reaching for health, you'll never find it in a pill. No pill, okay? Yeah. That's one reason. The other part too, all your supplements on the market are not regulated for its efficacy. Means, is it effectiveness? Does it do what it says it's gonna do? None of them are regulated for that. So I'm not taking my chances with that. Yes, I'm taking my chances all the way with How to Eat to Live.
Right. The Food and Drug Administration doesn't regulate supplements or nutraceuticals and like that.
Correct. So Brother and I can put a supplement out on the market and tell you that's what it's supposed to do, but that ain't. We can put rat poison in it. I'm just saying.
Anything.
No one tested it to see. We can tell you all day this is vitamin C.
Right.
Vitamin D. Don't mean that's what it is. We just got to label it appropriately. That's the only requirement.
Right.
Label it the right way. Nonetheless, I don't want anyone to get the notion that I don't want you to have them. I do want you to have them in your house. Okay? Because one thing that we're taught by our teacher is definitely famine is on the way.
Mm-hmm.
So get the best ones. Put them in your home, put them in your store home, have them. But while it's available now, eat the best of foods. I'm talking to all of us. Eat the best of foods to build this immunity. And no, I don't like the word boost, because that just sends as if everything is fast, quick, in a hurry, and as you know, we have many white blood cells. And if you have different variety blood cells and half of them die within 24 hours or 3 days, which one are you going to boost? So I like the ideal of building so that we understand that this takes time. You have to be patient. You have to be diligent. And you have to be disciplined. So it takes time to build this body, because this is, as we're taught, a pestilence from heaven. So I saw one of your advertisements, brother, about is COVID over? That was one of the things. It's not over until he says it's over. Farrakhan. He's not over until he says it's over. Is people in the hospital still with COVID? Yes, very few, but they are there. Most of our patients in the hospital with COVID are vaccinated. If I had a 10-bed unit, and this has been since day one, since the vaccine has come out, if I had 10 beds on a unit, 8 of those beds are going to be vaccinated COVID patients with severe, bizarre symptoms. And when healthcare providers say severe and we say bizarre, that means it's not in your books. Bizarre means it's not in their books. It's not in their textbooks and what you've been taught. Bizarre. Bizarre. Like you just like, I don't, what is this? Why they got this rash all over their body? Why is they red from the wrist to the elbow, fiery red? Exactly. So, and most of your healthcare providers are not, like I said before, vaccinated, nor are we tested.
I want to thank you for doing what the media is not doing, and that's letting the people know that the vaccine is not the only solution. Matter of fact, a quick clip from Good Morning America that taught, and it's pretty much a doctor talking about hospital cases in COVID-19. And then we're going to respond to it, kind of break up some of the things that she was saying, and we'll go from there. You ready? All right.
Well, folks, Dr. Ashton here. She's answering your questions. Let's see, Doc, what we're going to start with first. Are there cases of vaccinated individuals dying from COVID-19?
Absolutely there are. And people need to remember the context, the perspective here. Vaccination against COVID-19 or any other infectious disease for that matter is not 100%. But think of it like a seatbelt. It does as much as you can possibly do to help prevent a death. Than compared to not doing it. So we do have data from November and December in this country that people who are unvaccinated were 15 times more likely to die of COVID-19. Now that was kind of as Omicron was just getting over here, so that number might change. And we're trying to pin down an absolute risk, which is much more difficult to get. So if I could say, TJ, if you're unvaccinated, your risk of death is 1 in fill in the blank. That number we really don't have yet, but absolutely there are cases, but I want to be crystal clear. They are working to reduce the risk of severe illness and death, and it is by far the most important thing we can do to prevent death from COVID-19.
All right, so she said something very, very alarming. She said this is the most we can do to prevent illness from COVID. Even the layperson who does not understand, not fully understand how vaccines work, know that it's not. It is not the most you can. It is not the ultimate. So, Doctor, can you please shed some light on what she was saying about the most as we can to prevent illness from COVID-19?
Right. So she announced completely doubt in the vaccine all the way. Okay. If you listen to it, it's like a seatbelt. Okay. So let me put this out to you. Let me say this, and we say this all the time in the hospital. People don't die from COVID. Let's wrap our minds around that first. We haven't seen one person die from COVID. I want us to think about that real fast. We say this all the time. They have not died from COVID. They died from their underlying illness that took them out, that was exacerbated by a virus. So if we eliminate the underlying illness, we survive COVID. So literally what we saw, so I'm gonna give you an example. We know that people who had obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes were the population that was affected by COVID big time, okay? Let's say, and this happened, have a patient that came in and had a blood sugar of 600. They've been dealing with diabetes for the last 20 years of their life and never had a blood sugar over 300, never. They've been managing it with medicine just fine. This is how and she tested negative for COVID. This is how we knew she had COVID. She had a blood sugar anywhere from 400 to 600. And no matter, we put on a drip, and no matter what we threw at her, it only brought the blood sugar down like 100, 150, 200. That's all it would bring it down to. We knew about day 4, as long as we can teeter-totter her, keep her airway secure as well, means don't vent her. That's the last thing you want to do in the hospital now is get vented. Okay, we know that now.
Right.
So as long as we could make sure that she don't, seize out on us, right? And we can get her to day 4 of the virus, and the virus begins to leave the body, we can finally, that blood sugar will come down a little bit. This happened all the time. So as soon as we said, okay, as long as, she don't seize out, go into a diabetic coma, whatever we want to call it, ketoacidosis, whatever we want to say, DKA, she's going to crop out. As long as we can keep her from doing that, and the virus is passing the body, we won't lose her.
Fine time. Right.
That is what happened, family, all the time. Even with your hypertension emergency, people, I've never had a blood pressure 198 over 122. Okay, now we got you on the drip. Usually drips work all the time. We'll bring you down just fine, put you on the presser. You got COVID, it ain't working. We're throwing everything at you, and we're trying to make sure we don't vent you anymore. We're trying to make sure, so we're just managing underlying symptoms. And if we go back and we listen to a lot of people talking during that time, a lot of healthcare professionals like myself will sit there and say, only come to the hospital if you can no longer manage your underlying illnesses, right? Or no longer manage your illnesses. Stay at home, right? That was the talk. They was trying to tell us then. So when people die, they died because they died of DKA. They died because COVID just ravaged through. COVID just took over, exacerbated, and even exposed things they didn't even have going on. One of my first COVID patients was a sickle cell patient. It was really bad on him. Really bad. He was bleeding from all kinds of orifices. And we know sickle cell is what? A blood disorder, right?
Yep.
So COVID did some strange things with that blood disorder. That's what made COVID a pestilence from heaven.
Right.
Because it was doing some strange things to underlying synthesis. So here he is. So we know with sickle cell, they don't bleed from their orifices. They don't bleed from their eyes. They don't bleed from their ears. They might get a nosebleed. And we know that is a blood disorder. So COVID came in and exacerbated his underlying symptoms. And now we're like, what do you do with this? And we don't have treatment for sickle cell. What, one drug after all these years? Look how we need, right? We need help. So it's like, just keep his airway secure, give him some pain medicine. And we couldn't give him vitamin K because sickle cell does what already? It clots already all up in the organs and blood. And so we're playing teeter-totter, trying to keep you alive until the virus, so your body fights the virus and the virus passes, and all of a sudden you're looking just like you and I, normal again. And sometimes it happens just like that.
Yeah. I got my own personal experience with what COVID does to pre-existing conditions, and I'm not going to get into it on the show, but it was a very rough new year of 2022. Let's put it that way. Very rough. And you know, with, like you said, if we hold on to that simple fact right there of COVID not being the actual killer, and that the actual killer is what we currently have or what we don't know we have. If we hold on to that, it forces you to focus on health, general health, your general state of health, and the general state of your body. What are you doing to remain healthy or to get healthy? You know, and when I say healthy, I'm not talking about, you know, you getting your weight down and you still eating like trash. I'm talking about getting your weight down and cleaning up your diet, cleaning up your mental, cleaning up your spiritual, keeping the negative things away. You know, now, I ain't the guest, you know, but that I just wanted to just, you know, add my 2 cents into that, you know, because it's a very COVID is I call COVID the great indicator. That's what I call COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna tell you what you got. You may know already, and it's gonna tell you what you have and you don't know.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it reveals a lot of things. Matter of fact, anything that comes from Allah is designed to reveal something.
That's right. Expose absolutely so much. I mean, our marriages fell apart during COVID. We had to stay home. We were shelter in place, right? We got to know each other. So COVID exposed a whole lot. You know, you found out you really didn't have a good relationship with your children, you know, all kinds of stuff, you know, and that you had to, it forced us also to atone if we wanted to get healthy again as well. So, I mean, all of that. And so we saw all of that. And that isolation experience that we went through, like locking down the hospitals, not having visitors, that was torture for all of us,
Absolutely.
including me. That exposed a lot in me, you know, even that. So very vulnerable time. But yes, family, I watched how nurses who do not have how to eat to live, do not have supreme wisdom, knew right away, I got to get these 40 pounds off if I'm going to make it during this time.
Straight up.
Because we're watching our patients. And it was like, and they were working hard and they were getting it done. And if you look at them, the skin is glowing, you know, and they were focusing on what makes them happy. So we literally, family, could have taught the world. And we as a community could have survived this. So my advice is to take this now and know that we do not have to live with diabetes, do not have to live with obesity, do not have to live with hypertension. And we talk about obesity, we are really messed up as a community about that thing too. And one of the things that I like to explain is that if you're 20 pounds overweight, you are obese. I just leave it right there. So we don't have to say, oh, we thick, I got body, or Black women got these things. If you're 20 pounds overweight, you are obese, and you're already in a sick state to set yourself up for illnesses when we carry excess weight. That's just a fact. And so we live in a society today where we can't say you're fat. We can't use words like that. You know, we're not being, no, we're at life and death today with this. So obesity, being overweight, set yourself up for diabetes, set yourself up for cardiovascular diseases, which now you set yourself up to be more susceptible to COVID.
Yes, sir.
COVID gets a hold of you and ravages things inside of you and exacerbates your underlying illnesses. And if your body, your immune system is not intact enough to fight back COVID before it exacerbates everything you got going on, your underlying illnesses is what takes you out, not COVID.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that gets rid of what that doctor just said on that show about how, and guess what? That also eliminates how afraid we need to be of COVID. Because because I have a 23-year-old who I couldn't get to wear a mask the whole time and still don't. Okay, 23 years old, and he out the gate he be like, I ain't got no underlying illnesses. I exercise. I eat my bean soup. I'm good. And he wasn't sick the whole time. I can't remember when this child ever had a common cold. So what do that tell us? Never tested. And you know, 23-year-olds are hanging out.
Oh yeah.
Doing everything.
They outside.
They never sheltered in place.
Right.
Not him.
You want to wear them. And that is a very respected way of looking at it. it'll come off as arrogant to others who may not understand how they can really beat this thing or keep this thing away. You know, remember, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us that it's chasing iniquity.
Come on.
That are wrong. What's wrong here? So now that it's looking for things that are wrong, it's like it's gonna set up shop. Okay, yeah, this is diabetes. I'm good here, and I'm not mocking anyone's condition.
Correct.
I'm just saying it's looking for weakness. It's looking for wrong. Yes. It's looking for something that's not supposed to be here in the body. That's right. And whether we want to acknowledge this or not, as much as some of our doctors say that you can live your life normally. There's nothing normal about living a life with chronic disease. That's right. That's not normal. You know, so I'm like I said, I'm speaking to business. What Doc was saying was true. And matter of fact, this is a perfect segue into her business, Greener Days. So please, if you can you shed some light on what you're currently doing with agriculture and healthy eating?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I want to say that's a family's business. My mother works very, very hard, Sister Hazel. I love you so much, Mom, because I'm usually traveling. When I get back home, I get it in. I get exhausted. She puts me to work. But yes, we have about 19 raised beds, I believe, just in the backyard. Just grow food anywhere, family, and learn how to grow food. And yes, you must know how to grow food properly. Our Savior came where he had to teach us how to bathe properly. So we must know how to grow food properly, okay? The soil is not well, so we have to know how to heal the soil as well. But first, just get to growing, and you have to know how to save seeds, because all seeds are not good seeds, you know, so all of that. And we do teach that at Greener Days. We teach how to cultivate the soil. I'm a vermicompostist. I love it. I love the worms. How to heal the soil. We also teach seed saving as well. And so, yes. And we're growing. Yes. And we also work with once again, we also work with our family, Brother Iliad Rashard and his beautiful wife, Sister Angela, and his beautiful children. We work with them. That's the beekeepers, y'all. So we are a family of growers for sure down there. And we get more believers to grow food. We have Sister Jeanette that grows food in Memphis, quite a few. And we even got Brother Student Minister Mutak here. Okay. And his wife to grow food. Yes, sir. They grow food. Yes. So the goal, I say it all the time when we come together in circles, I go, we're going to have us a Muhammad's farmers market at the mosque. Coming soon. Yeah. Coming soon. Yes.
Beautiful vision. Beautiful.
Yes. Coming soon.
Excellent. And has this particular business been used to kind of jumpstart the Ministry of Agriculture in your city, or?
We're working on it. We are, and we must understand that is the foundation of our new government. You know, right. our new society. So we're working on it, and it just takes all of us first as an individual. Everybody get to growing. Learn how to grow something, and then elevate from there, and keep elevating from there, and learn how to really do this thing. You know, it gets to a point. Yes, it's a huge husbandship. Yes, it's a lot of work in the beginning, but I want us to realize as you love it. And you grow and you grow and you grow, you look outside and it's almost effortless, because you see stuff growing all day. You see the trees growing all day. And so you want to, just like how Allah has it, you want to not show up for work. It's just all doing its thing. It's just all doing its thing. So yeah, we have a pear tree too. And all that goes into your canning, you know, preserving food, you know, your storehouse. Let's be found obedient. You know, and I see a lot of believers on Facebook growing food. So alhamdulillah.
We deep.
I know, alhamdulillah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, brother, I just wanted to say this to the doctor that was talking on today's show. I want to throw this out there to us too. We can take every supplement out there, every medication out there. We know that there's no cure for COVID. So it may treat your symptoms at that time, but it didn't save you from COVID. Keep that in mind. You can take all the drugs you want to. It didn't save you from COVID because it's no cure. But your immune system can.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get to building.
Build an immune system.
That's right. It can. I've seen it.
Right.
I've seen it. I'm walking in it. Praise be to Allah.
In the structure. That's right.
Right.
Start with what's already here and build that to the point where it's like a, COVID, like I said, looking for the wrongdoing, scanning for the weaknesses. There's nothing here. I can't live here.
That's right.
So praise our family. We're exactly at 1 hour, and we usually like to keep the show at an hour. And we have gone into so much. We've gone into nursing. We've gone into vaccines. We've gone into nutrition, supplements, everything. We touched on a lot. And I want to thank Sister Tamara Muhammad for joining us tonight. For those who don't know, Sister Tamara and I, along with my wife and many other work on the Ministry of Health for the nation, especially as responders to medical events at our national events like Savior's Day, Holy Day of Atonement. So it's been a minute seeing my sister in person. So I count the show as in person. So I want to just thank you, sister, for joining us. Jabril also thanks you. He couldn't be with us today. He's a brand new father, so he's getting into that group of fatherhood. But yeah, family, this has been another edition of the STEM Files. Sister Tamara, did you have anything you wanted to add or close out with?
Thank you, brother, for the work that you do. And it's an honor and a privilege. And I look forward to seeing all the family on Savior's Day. It was so good to see us. And like the minister said, sitting so close together. Right. It was beautiful. I just want to say, family, Islam is excellence. And so, inshallah, look for me. Praise to Allah. I've been blessed, hugely blessed, as your new midwife in your nation.
Congratulations.
So look for me.
Absolutely. Yes. Family, this has been another edition of the STEM File, highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the Black and Brown community. Tariq Cardiac, Jabril Engineering. Family, if you know more about the STEM Files or watch past episodes, get to know more about content, get to know more of the people we've had on the show, visit us on our social media at the STEM, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and STEM Files on Facebook and YouTube. Tariq Cardiac, Jabril Engineering. Family, thank you for joining me. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teach men.